to another episode of Husbandhood Podcast, created for husbands by husbands, so we can help husbands win in marriage. I'm your host, Darrion Lewis, and I got my boys with me. I got my boy Mike back. I got RB in the house. Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Man, doing good, bro. Thanks for having me back on, man.
It's always a pleasure, man. I'm excited about this. Today we're going to jump right in. We're going to jump right into the conversation. RB, how long have you been married?
So it'll be 4 years this year. 4 years.
4 years, bro.
Yeah.
Time flies.
I know.
It'll be 5 for us this year.
Oh, yeah. Y'all got married right before we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, Mike, this is the Mike Vick year. It's 7.
7
years.
7 years, man.
That's amazing.
By.
Whoa. I remember Mike and them had a wedding ceremony that went really viral. It was one of those things where Mike decided, and I'll let him talk about it real quick, but just, he decided to do a surprise wedding for his wife, you know what I mean? And so, you want to speak to that a little bit?
What happened was, the backstory behind everything is that me and my soon-to-be bride at the time, we were trying to buy a house, right?
Gotcha.
And so in trying to buy a house, I didn't want us in this house together, and we were not married.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it kind of speeded up the process a little bit because we were like 6 months out from the house actually being completed. So I was thinking to myself, I'm asking myself a question. I'm like, what's the difference between getting married now and getting married a year and a half from now? Right? What implications could that possibly be? And I was like, okay, we can just do it now. Right. I never told her that, but in my mind I was like, I want to marry her. She's okay with that. I know she is. We talked about it already. We didn't had conversations
for sure.
about marriage, so it kind of made it easy for me. And just talking to my wife, she don't like the plan. She was in fear of planning her own wedding.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so she didn't want to deal with losing the friends because they wasn't bridesmaids, or she didn't want to deal with the hassle of trying to, plan everything and get the food and the catering and all that. Yeah. In my day-to-day life, what I do for a living, I plan, I get stuff done.
Right.
So I just took it upon myself and I just said, okay, I already have the venue for the engagement.
Right.
I can turn that same venue into a wedding chapel. So all I had to do was get her parents on board and her friends on board. And once I told them my idea, actually, my sister-in-law, Shantae, she's my sister-in-law now, they were about to get married later on. My brother and her ended up getting married later on that year. And she was telling me, she just gave me a sign from God and just was like, why you just want to do it all in the same day?
Right. That's crazy.
Wow.
She was the one that told me that. And I said, you know what? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And from then on, I went head first. Talked to the parents. They were like, oh, my God, this is going to be wonderful. Talked to her sorority sisters, her friends, got everybody down here. They were already coming for the engagement, right? And so some of the people, I didn't tell them that it was going to be a wedding at all.
Oh, so they just pulled up.
If you pulled up and you came to the engagement, you saw the wedding. But if you did not, you missed it.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So it was cool, man. And then, like, I asked her, I did the whole proposal thing. She walked in. She was crying, all that stuff. And I asked her to marry me. And then I had a card that said, I flipped it over. Once she said yes, I said, today. And she was like, today? Where's my dad? Where's this? And everybody came out.
Came out.
Whoa. That's lit. I ain't gonna lie.
And it was,
you beat me on this. This is the one I lost on.
So
I ain't gonna lie.
Man, everybody I used was up and coming. Like if I was to tell you the people that I use and seeing where their trajectory and where their life is now, like, man, it's so dope. I was able to use those people at that time because they big time now. I have to pay them some real money now. I was like the guinea pig. Like we was like the guinea pig for each other. So you know what I'm saying? Like my homegirl Montoya, she did all the coordinating and wedding design and all that stuff. And then I had another friend that did like my photography and stuff like that. And now, like, that's what they do full time.
Wow.
After my wedding, a lot of people just went like, man, this is so
crazy.
Amazing. I want to do this full time. That's
wow.
what they did, man. So it helped everybody. It was cool. D was my best man in my wedding. I only had one best man. Her twin sister was her bridesmaid, so we didn't have to argue or fight. Nobody did any of that. My other two best men, Stanley and Elliot, they worked the door.
Wow.
They police officers. So it was cool, man. I won't forget it for the rest of my life. She won't either.
Wow.
That's incredible. It was an incredible experience. I was there. I saw it, lived it. That day was really special, man.
Wow.
So,
cool.
But even what was more special, I know I got the privilege of knowing both of you, and I know your journeys before you got there. Right. RB, we were spring breaking in Miami together, kicking it.
Yeah.
We can't talk. Listen,
spring break in Miami. We can't kicking this situation.
Listen. Let's just say. It was a movie, but we can't talk about it.
It's one of those Vegas moments.
It's one of those. It was like Hangover almost.
Yes,
but just the college version of it.
It was just, to the part that I can describe, which is a short part. What made it so individually erratic was that we went from 5 to 6 guys staying in a rinky-dink like Holiday Inn with one fold-out bed and a regular bed to meeting the godson. No, he's the what is he? He's the he's the god. No, he's the godson, nephew, whatever terminology you want to use, of Big Tigger, and we ended up staying at a penthouse because he was in the same fraternity as I was. So we connected, and I reluctantly didn't even want to talk to him. This is the truth, which I'm going to go to Atlanta. I'm actually going to Atlanta in August. I'm going to connect with him. But I didn't even want to talk to him, and then ended up talking to him, and we stayed in a penthouse for the rest of the time that we were in Miami.
All I could tell you was...
So y'all went from the outhouse.
Oh, my goodness.
To the penthouse.
And we were nervous. We were scared. Like... Bro,
it went from here, and he called Big Tigger when we were there. So he confirmed that this was his people. Like this was his people. We went from here. He doesn't know this, mind you, but when he sees this video, he might. We went from here in Miami to here.
Like, and here can't even really be described because it's just like
it was an experience.
But all in all, like I just know, like y'all, like we all have lived life together.
Correct.
And there came a point in both of you guys' like life before you became a husband where you were like, look, I'm going abstinent. Like,
for sure.
Like it's time for me to really just chill out, prepare my heart for marriage.
Yeah.
And then you guys became husbands. So making that choice to go abstinent and how that's now impacted you as a husband is where I would love to take this conversation. And just to see like, give the fruit of it, give the horror stories of it, just give truth. Because I truly believe that, man, like, for one, I can tell you, we've talked more and more than one occasion that premarital sex before marriage can be tough, right?
Yes.
But in your case, it was like premarital sex, then I'm going cold turkey until like the next person I have sex with will be my wife. Right. Because I would warrant to say that at some level you guys saw yourselves as husbands before you became husbands. Yeah. And then now you're husbands, right? And y'all had that experience, right? And so how was that
experience? Okay, so I guess
now as a husband, like
So now as a husband, if we're not giving the backstory, now as a husband, I think that the fruitfulness comes from the candid ability to know the individual at a deeper level, right? Because what it did for me, it individualized, and I use this terminology, cups, right? There are cups in your relationship that you fill up. Sex is a component of love, right? And that's an expressive way of love, but it is not love, right? It is just a component, right? So when you fill up this sex cup too much, it overflows, but you're not giving enough to the other cups of what the relationship is like, the character, the essence of who the individual is, their ideals as a person, their pillars, their foundation. There's a lot that goes into a human being, and we never would have gotten the opportunity to explore those other individual areas if sex would have been the distraction. Wow. And so from the fruit of that, I now get to see and be in relationship with my best friend, right? Because we got a chance to expedite a friendship in that time rather than every, 3 or 4 encounters we're having sex. Then we are so enthralled in the mixture of being physically intimate that we skip steps in getting to know the individual. and seeing if this person is compatible and asking challenging questions that's going to come up against our marriage that we know in 10, 20, 30 years. You know, we had conversations about like, would you stay with me if I had cancer or if I had a disease, right? Because experiencing my sister pass away from it, that changed the way that I viewed it. So these were very firm questions and conversations that we had to have, and what blossomed was a friendship, right? Because I think that most marriages that last, they stand on a friendship.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's good, bro.
That's my perspective.
That's deep,
That's
man.
heavy.
Yeah.
That's real good. For me, being able as a husband now, sex is very important. Don't get me wrong. We're men. We're physical creatures by nature. That is probably one of the things that draws us to women, is finding them attractive and wanting to lay down with them, right? But for me, it was more so, if sex and money is the two causes for divorce, number one for divorce.
True.
Right? If I was to take sex off the table, who are me and my wife?
That's powerful.
You know what I'm saying? The money part is going to take care of itself. We work, right?
Yeah,
So it's
for
not
sure.
like neither one of
sure.
us, you know, don't have a job, or my wife is educated, I'm educated. We will find a career regardless of what happens, right? But the sex part of it is, can we survive? And you can't throw in my face, I'm not going to have sex with you for us if we have a disagreement, or if something is not right in our marriage. Withholding sex is not punishment.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying?
That's good.
Withholding the sex is not. So we got to talk about whatever is bad, good, indifference in our marriage. The reason why, in my honest opinion, why, you know, God probably said, yeah, you probably don't need to have sex before you get married, is really because you don't get to know the person, because sex takes over.
It does.
Like, people stay in relationships, in situationships longer because sex is good.
I'm telling you.
The sex is fire.
I'm sorry,
right?
I'm co-signing you right now. I just
good.
want you to know,
But
you speaking.
The sex is good, right? But if you took sex off the table and y'all had one bad, you know, argument, or if you guys can't come to a decision, you guys can't communicate effectively to come to a decision.
You ready to blow it up?
And the very next thing that's important to marriage, other than communication, is, can we get on the same page to accomplish a goal?
Yep.
Right. That's really good, bro. It's really interesting. Now, I didn't go cold turkey. Sex was definitely a part of our dating process.
Yeah.
And when sex slowed down in marriage, you know, just even to make this point, like, just because sex slows down, it doesn't mean that it's being withheld. It, like, that person just don't want to have
just
sex
life.
with me. But, you know, because I've went there with her, like, prior to marriage, and it felt like, honestly, I've said it on the podcast before, gosh, like, it felt like we had more sex while we were single than when we had the sex we got when we got married. Like, and it's, you know, so for me, because of that, in marriage, I've had to mature to a space where I even understand that, like, us not having sex for a period may not be because she doesn't want to have sex, or I don't want to have sex. It may be literally because it's just so many different distractions, fatigue, kids. Yeah. But if you don't prioritize it, right, then, like, I feel like that's still a dangerous place. Right. But because we're married now, and even when we had sex for the first time as married people, it felt weird because I was like, dang, we like,
it's different.
This is all,
it's different. Like,
it's different.
It's
And it's not because of like the physical.
Yeah.
It's like the actual weight that's off of sin.
You know what that is, and this is an important thing somebody needs to hear, is that when you're not having sex with someone, or if you feel like it's being withheld, the truth is that as men and as husbands, we feel like that's our gateway to love. So when it's being withheld, that's why there's so much pushback in an individual, because they're like, if you don't have sex with me, that means you don't love me, right? Because that's how I express love. And that's how we see it as husbands. That's how we see it as men. When we don't get to that primal instinct to be able to engage, now we feel like you don't love me.
And we got to see love differently.
Yeah, we do.
You know, and that's the maturity of like the maturation of like really understanding love. And honestly, like it takes love off self and really put it on the other person.
For sure, yeah.
Because one of the things I've learned about love is that, at least God's love, is that it's so othering. It's not about us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Servanthood.
How do I serve her well? How do I serve my family well? And though, here's the pushback though, like a brother got needs.
Brother do got needs. Now I'm not gonna lie to you about that.
Yeah,
brother
yeah,
got
100.
needs, and the thing about it is,
You just can't be.
you can't.
You can't take your own needs.
No.
You can't take your own needs to your own hand.
What they say,
Literally.
can't nobody do it
You
better
can't
than
take
me.
your own needs into your own hand.
You can't do
literally.
Bro, literally. Can't nobody do me better than me.
Right.
But I just think though, you learn.
Can't nobody do me like
Can't
me.
nobody do me better than me. Nah, I'm just playing, y'all. But the thing about it is when you don't have sex before you get married, right? And then you do get married and you start having sexual relations with your wife, you start learning, you have to learn your wife all over again sexually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then too, your wife is going to change because life is changing. She has kids now. She's a mother now.
Right.
She's still working. She's still doing all these things. So quite naturally, sex, you have, and this is where the communication part comes in. Sex is not on her mind. It's on our mind. We're
100.
men. Right.
Yes.
But sex is not even on her mind at all.
At all, yeah.
And
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, sometimes
bro, she don't
she
be
going and she not really
thinking about it.
No, especially when she's a mother now.
True.
I agree.
Like when before Trey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, even before
Yeah.
Trey though, me and my wife had to have a conversation because we had got married or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was gonna go back to my pre-days when I was doing
Now,
it out
let's
here.
deal with that. Let's deal with that.
And so when I
Yeah,
did
let's
get
deal with
married,
that.
I'm like, babe, what's going on? It's
Yeah.
time to get to it. This, that, and the other. And it was more so, that's what made me say to myself, I wish I wouldn't have gave myself up so much before I made that decision. Before I make that decision to
Bro, now, just to be fair, women go there too. Now,
Right.
Yeah.
in the promiscuous days.
Yeah.
I even as a kid,
Yeah.
we watched inappropriate
Right,
things.
for sure.
Right.
Now, there was one of the ladies that was very famous in that industry.
She was.
Of the ones we had to put, make
the
sure you remind the tape and put it back.
Rewind the tape.
That was the
Saved.
VCR days.
Go
right?
back.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
But she recently did an interview. I'm not going to say her name, but she recently did an interview.
I'm sure.
Right? And she said, they was like, hey, like her last thing, like one of the things that, she left the podcast, like she was ending the podcast with. And she said, like, one of the things I wish, she said, I wish that I had waited till my husband to have sex.
Wow.
And this is a girl that was in that type of industry, very known for her skills and talents in that industry.
I love the term.
Skills
and talents.
We're gonna give the definition.
The reality is, though, this was a girl that like came back and now much mature in her 40s, saying, I wish, unmarried, no kids.
Wow.
Like, she wants a husband.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So women,
difficult.
I just bring that up to say, like, this is a human condition. Like, we're just men. We're living the man experience. But there are ladies that do wish that they had to wait till their husbands, because it's just one of those things, man, for sure.
And then too, you got to remember, man. Like I'm just gonna talk about me,
Sure,
because it may be a husband out there that can relate to this.
100%.
Man, I've been sexually active since I was 16.
Yeah.
I've been watching. You might have been watching flicks since you was 10.
Flicks are, listen,
hold on. So
disclaimer, flicks are,
the grown people,
pornography.
You might have been watching pornography.
Those grown
since
people
you was
movies.
the grown
In
people
the
movies since 10
terminology.
and 11.
If you look it up on Wikipedia, it's pornography. Okay.
or the Urban Dictionary.
Oh yeah, 100.
Right. I've been going to the strip club since I was 15.
Oh yeah.
So
for sure.
all of this time before I decided to say no more, it was because I got hurt in those stages.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Too many scares.
Got you.
Too many drama that I didn't even have to deal with, dealing with different women I ain't had no business dealing with. So that personally made me turn it off, because I'm like, the only way I'm going to turn it off is I have to stop doing it.
You know what's the key component to what you're saying? And this is a thing that it built for me and him. I know that to be the case. Restraint. Restraint is what was built there.
Self-control.
And self-control, restraint, however you want to be able to say, okay, you're not ready to do it now. I can be okay saying to your no, being like, okay, cool. I can say no to me. I can deny myself in this moment and say, all right, but let's plan for this to be a way, right? Because before, when we're in the streets, when we're living our lives, there's no restraint, because you're getting it from this person. And then, you know, from my experience, I was getting it from a person and then coming back and getting it from myself.
You know, that's interesting, man.
It's restraint and self-control of yourself.
Because what happens is the pain is not, the pain doesn't outweigh the pleasure.
Well, you don't even see it as pain sometimes.
Man, because it's pain, because when you get them phone calls, I'm late.
Oh,
you got to go to the clinic. You got to. That's pain, bro.
Pain.
You dealing with these arguments.
100%.
Why you doing this, bro? That's pain. So you got to say to yourself,
when
as
you
a man,
up all night and your heart hurt because you find out about her.
What?
Or
you thinking you the only one doing it and she doing it too.
I'm letting you know.
Or
that's
you didn't,
real.
or somebody put a baby on you that ate your baby. Like
that
bro,
has happened to me.
Pain,
that has
pain,
happened to
bro,
me.
is not outweighing that pleasure. It's not outweighing that 7 minutes.
Somebody faked the baby with me.
You lived it with me.
Somebody faked the baby with me for a whole year.
Here's the crazy thing, though. Like, I knew, like, so there came a pivotal moment in this. I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
We were at my bachelor party in Vegas.
Yeah.
And there came a point where everybody was like, all right, so we hitting the strip club? And Mike was there. So
yeah.
And I was like, nah.
So he didn't want to do it.
I said, I didn't want to do it. And everybody was like, okay, I mean, it's whatever you want to do. This is yours,
it's
right?
yours.
And me and my pops, nobody really knows, me and my pops was rooming together. And so, man, we was in there, we was talking. Shout out to him, happy Father's Day. And he was like, man, I was proud of you when you did that. And I said, what you mean? He was like, you know, just the restraint you was able to show. And what I realized was I don't want to take a step back because I'm about to make a decision like tomorrow or a couple days that's about to change the whole trajectory of my life.
100%.
And so I got to start now making decisions about where I'm going versus where I've been.
Yep.
And so it's really important, like, you know, and y'all made that same decision, right? When y'all decided, like, yo, like, man, look, I'm just going to chill out because now let me give myself to the Lord. Yeah. Let me see, like, who I am. And let me really get to know who God has brought in my life.
That's
and it had a lot to do with that maturity. So I applaud y'all. You know what I mean? Like, that's not easy. You know what I'm saying?
Because I was wanting to knock something down.
Yeah.
Boy, I wanted to knock something down. But at the same time, not being able to tell a woman, no, we're not having sex, and really getting to know them, X'd out a lot of women for me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it kind of, and then guess what? It made it cool for me, and it made it easier for me to leave a situation knowing that she didn't give herself to me.
She didn't give herself.
But it in turn challenged you to cleave to the right situation.
Correct.
Right.
Because, see, that's the thing. Like, my encounter with this whole scenario was because I had a 360, like, radical transformation with God. And in that radical transformation with God, what that moment showed me is a vision of who I can be. And it identified to me that this person isn't the right fit. Every single time that I would run into somebody because I wasn't engaging, I would be like, okay, we're not the right fit. Like, I see it and I can catch it faster. See, when I met my wife and we connected, I was like, who are you? Like, why are you not married? Like, you are a catch. But people were not spending that intentional time to get to know the individual.
But you was already intentional with yourself.
Yeah.
But did that intention, let me ask you this, like, creep over into now your marriage? Y'all still practicing that same type of intention?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we can
just in different ways, possibly.
Right. It's no pressure on my wife. It's no pressure on her to make her feel like, and we talked about this too, I never wanted my wife to just give me lazy
booty.
Yeah, I get that.
I'd rather have quality over. I'd rather have quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? You know? So with that being said, like if she not in the mood or whatever the case may be, I don't take it to the 10th degree.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like certain things I can let roll off my back. She feels at ease, and when she feels at ease, I get more sex because she knows she's not pressured into, I gotta give him something tonight. Yeah. If I don't give him nothing tonight, he gonna be this, he gonna do that, he ain't gonna be this way.
Now, the old school brothers would be like, you dang right. Look, I had my papa said, he walked outside and told my granny, listen, if you don't come in here and pull them drawers down, I'm gonna burn this whole dang house down.
That's pressure.
And that's pressure. That's pressure.
That's a big.
There's some diamonds made in there.
I asked my granny, I said, hey, what'd you do? She said, shoot, I went in there and pulled my drawers down because I didn't want my house burned down. Different generation. Different generation for sure. But at the end of the day, like Papa, I love my Papa.
I love him too.
Happy Father's Day again. But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things where, like times are just, I wouldn't say they are just different. They've progressed. Yeah. And what we've learned from our elders, and it's amazing. Because I think overall what happens is generationally we grow closer to God because of the lessons that we've learned that have been passed down. And I think it just ultimately progresses. But where we are in the part of the podcast, man, and just to be respectful like of time and everything, this is a part of the podcast where we offer up some game, to a husband that might be listening to this, like, like I'm in my marriage, that resilience and that resistance and that intentionality, I didn't have that necessarily, but how do I have it now? Like, what would be your game to a husband that's listening? What would you share to him? What game would you drop on him as we bring from this conversation, as we bring it to a close?
So I would say be diligent, right? Be diligent in your pursuit of who you're looking for. Ask the right questions, because you need to ask the right questions to know that you guys are a fit. See what her morality looks like and her character as a person. And then examine yourself and say, hey, am I ready? Am I ready to take on the burden of being responsible for another person? Because that's the truth. Because some of us say we are, and then we get in it and we're like, there's no switch. Like, we're like, no, I really want to be selfish. And the fifth thing is like, just don't be clouded with other people's opinions, right? Because we all look at this 50% divorce rate thing, and we think it's going to continue to incline, and we think that marriage doesn't last.
50% divorce rate.
50.
Right. But then you got also people talking about marriage as a 50-50 deal.
Correct.
50-50 leads to 50%.
Yeah, but the thing is that if you don't try, because like here's one thing that I say in my marriage is that, we don't talk about divorce, right? We don't discuss divorce. We don't play with divorce. We don't do divorce because my commitment to you is servanthood, right? And so we are going to give to this marriage, and I am not thinking about anything else but giving. Yeah, that is it. So just remember that, like, that's what you need to know. Like, be comfortable with yourself and be comfortable with the person that you have given, because there's always going to be somebody more beautiful. Trust me. There's always going to be somebody more intelligent. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be more whatever. But that doesn't mean that that's going to be the person that's going to take you to more. There's a person that's supposed to take you to a more level. And that person may not be the person that you see and that looks good and that sounds good but she'll bust the windows out your car. See what I'm saying? That's not your more. So that's my game.
Love it.
My game is learn your spouse the way that you should purely versus the thoughts and the images that you've already created in your mind based on the things that you've already saw and you had experienced.
Yeah.
The reason why you can't love your wife correctly, or you feel like you're not getting enough, or you feel like your wife doesn't do enough in bed, is simply because the images and the things that you have already experienced, you're trying to compare your wife to 20 or 30 different women. That's unfair to her.
100%.
You see what I'm saying? So this sex thing is deeper than just climaxing. It's deeper than just what you saw on Booty Talk 37. You have to be able to connect to another human being, bro.
Yeah.
You can't treat her like your cum garbage.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is your wife you talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? This ain't some chick you just met off the street or you paying money for, or you know, that's not that. And you have to get your mind out of the gutter and start thinking more and put your mind in that Bible, put your mind with your friends, put your mind on other things that won't consume you. I get it. We all men, we have needs, we have this and we have that. But sometimes you have to lock in. And the person you need to be locking in on is the person you decided to say I do with.
Yeah.
And that would be my game, man, because a lot of times when I hear brothers complain about what they ain't getting and this, that, and the other, they don't spend the quality time that it takes to actually learn their wives outside of marriage.
Yep.
I mean, outside of the sex in the bedroom.
Right.
You just want her to do whatever it is that you learned or you experienced from such and such and such and such in the bedroom. And when she don't do it, you start thinking like, my wife is not this. My wife is not that. My wife is not freaky enough. My wife is that, not this. And then you go outside of your marriage going to go get those things when really this was the person God designed for you to go to that, like he said, that next level with.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if you want sex from your wife, learn her.
Yep.
Because the more you learn her, I promise you she'll give it back to you.
Yeah, man. It's good words from both of y'all. I'll just keep it simple. Bible teaches us that love is patient. It starts with it. And, you know, we all need it. We can't have effective relationships without it. And true love is patient.
Yeah.
It's, if I'm willing to wait for you before marriage, I can't not keep that same energy during marriage.
Yep.
I have to wait for you for the rest of our lives.
For sure.
This has been another episode of Husbandhood. I hope this blessed you. Again, this is a podcast created for husbands, by husbands, to help husbands win in marriage. See you next time. Peace.
Yeah, we talk it out, that's on every